Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Mostly Low Budget Movie Reviews. I am your host, Clarence. Thank you for tuning in. In today's episode, I'm going to do a movie I have been looking forward to since the trailer dropped. Now, it's called Barbarian, which is listed as a horror mystery thriller, and that's pretty accurate. The title, I mean, more on that later. Actors in this you've seen before, but the names escape me right now. And I normally don't do any research, but I'm going to have to look this one up when I get the scores because it's bothering me that I can't remember their names. So what is this one about? Well, we start out with Tess driving late night in the rain in Detroit. Very few streetlights except for one house. Spoiler free, you'll see why in the morning, which happens to be the Airbnb she rented for the week. Now, she gets there and there's someone named Keith already in there. Turns out that this somehow got double booked. Actually, it sounds familiar, like a movie I just did, the romantic comedy Love in the Villa. It's still trending on Netflix. Go check that one out if you haven't already. My review, I mean, not necessarily the movie. But other than the Airbnb similarities, that is nothing like that. But anyway, they work it out and she stays. They hit it off, but a bit of a strange night. So spoiler free, it's uneventful. She wakes up to a note. He's gone to do whatever he's off to do, and she goes to her job interview. When she gets back, she goes down in the basement and accidentally gets locked in. No spoilers here because it's in the trailer. She finds a hidden passage. Now, spoiler free, I won't say what's in there. Keith returns and to get her out, and she obviously is really freaked out by what she saw. However, he doesn't really believe her and he wants to kind of check it out for himself. So, of course, he goes down there. Now, eventually, she goes down there to check on him to see if everything's cool, but he's not answering her. She goes in the passage again and hears faint calls of help. And that's where I'm going to stop. From there, she investigates and is not prepared for what she finds. So what did the pros think? Well, they came in at a 92% on the Rotten scale on 88 reviews, which is very good for this genre of movie. With the audience at a very solid 75%. And what did I think? Well, let's start with the positives. Keith, who was Bill Skarsgård, by the way, who was Pennywise in It. Excellent performance in that movie, by the way, but he's a good actor, and you've seen him in many things. He plays great here as a mysterious, charming stranger that you're kind of suspicious of. Something seems off about him, but you want to trust him. And then Tess, Georgina Campbell, who I saw for the first time in an episode of Black Mirror. Great show, by the way, except for the last season. That was trash. So if you're going to watch it, go ahead and watch any of the other seasons. Don't watch the last season. But anyway, she is equally as good playing the friendly, wide-eyed, but also cautious woman. Now, they had excellent chemistry together, which made that initial 30 minutes all the more intriguing because we know this is a horror movie going in, so we know something's going to go wrong, but how is the question? Spoiler free, this movie also does an excellent job of always staying one step ahead of you. I mean, they point you in a direction, and when you get there, you don't find what you expected. There are also some laughs to be had along the way, which, I didn't expect. And it's nothing silly here, just things that fit the overall tone of how a normal person might react or say something about a situation to, create a little levity. Now, they went with practical effects, which I was pleased about. They could have gone CGI with some of this stuff, but it would have ruined the immersions for me since this feels like a really old school type of a horror movie in a good way. You almost get a found footage vibe in some of the parts when they're exploring these dark hallways because you're really staring in the darkness trying to see if there's something in the background that's going to scare you before it happens, only for them to get you anyway. They also do this little time jump thing that gives you the backstory that you didn't even really know that you needed. More on that later. Oh, and I do need to pay off what I said about the title. I like to read the dictionary because, at heart I'm a nerd. But seriously, sometimes I look up words I already know the meaning to if I hear them used a different way or I'm not quite understanding, how they used it, and kind of see if, maybe there's an alternate meaning that I didn't know about, or maybe I'm not using the word correctly. Now, in this case, I didn't need to look up barbarian since I already knew what it meant. Like all of you that are listening, you already have an idea what a barbarian is. However, there is an alternative meaning that's a little bit deeper that I already knew about because I've looked up this word before many times. And I bet a lot of you don't know the other meaning to this word, or the origin of the word, I should say. And I won't get into that and spoil anything for you. But maybe that's a little clue about the movie if you want a little bit of a deeper meaning as to why it's called what it's called. On the negative side, I would have to say, is the story. I mean, it's told well, but it's very straightforward. I mean, once the reveal is done, there aren't any surprises to be had after that. And the reveal's done really early, so you kind of already, know where it's going at that point. And while I appreciated some of the cinematography, meaning the composition and angles, I'm not going to get too technical here, but in one sequence, it felt like filler. I mean, I enjoyed the work that went into creating, the shot that they did, but they could have skipped the whole car ride both ways, which we got to see in one of these parts. I mean, I didn't need to see him get in the car and drive to the location just because you had a cool way that you wanted to shoot it. So it does run a little long there. Of course, there are things that don't make sense. There's some, that's natural with, horror movies. However, there are 3 decisions that really stand out for me that I don't think any of the people involved would have done. So it artificially keeps the movie going, and I wish the writing was a bit more clever there to kind of create a reason for them to do the things that they did instead of just, being silly about it. And the ending for me was just, it was okay. It wasn't very impressive. Because like I said, it could only have ended once they do the reveal, there's only really 2 ways that this could end, and it didn't deviate from the one that they chose in any way. It ended exactly how you think it's going to end. But I don't want to beat this one up too much. Let me bottom line this for you. Did I enjoy it? And yes, it's a very good throwback type of a horror movie. I put this one right at an 80% on the Rotten scale. It borrows heavily from other movies, so it might not feel all that original, but they do take those parts and create one of the better horror thrillers that I've seen in a while. Now, if you are into horror movies, then this is just a must-see for you. I kind of want to be tentative about people that's not really into horror, or, they're, only dip their toe in the water a little bit. This may not be the one to start with, but it's not super aggressive, I should say. So, if you want to step your game up a little bit, this might be one to check out. But anyway, I'm being long-winded today. With that being said, I'm going to close it out right here. If this is your first time, don't make it your last. This has been a Podbean production, mostly low-budget movie reviews with Clarence, up on all streaming platforms. Go give me a follow on Spotify or Apple or Google or any one of those other places you get your podcasts. And I might be back again this weekend. I'm not sure. There is one other movie I kind of wanted to check out that I've been putting off for a while. I might have time to do it. Maybe, maybe not. It is the first weekend of NFL football, so I might be busy doing that. But anyway, thank you once again for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.